Today was an insane day around the world of the NBA, for better or worse, and you got a really good idea of what exactly makes this a 12-month league, as many people like to say now. And I thought, what better way to not only go through all of these events, but to keep my ideas kind of separate, more concise, than by looking at it through the lens of Adrian Wojnarowski's tweets. That is right, Woj, the insider's insider, had NBA fans, NBA Twitter, everyone kind of hanging on every word at one point, but we will get to that. If you enjoy this type of video, if you want to see more stuff like this, like kind of going through social media, using that as like a framework, please leave a like. If you're new to the channel, subscribe as well. Really greatly appreciate it. But that's all not important. What's important here is we get to everything that happened today. Alright, so first thing this morning, we get a retweet from Woj of Baxter Holmes, who is reporting that in breaking news, in a statement, Robert Sarver writes, in part, I am beginning the process of seeking buyers for the Suns and the Mercury. This is a big deal because just like a week ago, Adam Silver stood up in front of all of the NBA media and was like, we fined him $10 million and suspended him a year, and he really learned his lesson. And now here we are a week later, and Sarver is finally willing to sell the team. Baxter Holmes being the one to break this is also big because Sarver himself and a lot of people within the Suns organization spent a lot of time in 2021 trying to discredit his reporting and trying to say that, you know, he didn't know what he was talking about. He was sensationalizing what was going on. Everyone loved Robert Sarver. Robert Sarver was so great. So to see within a year this whole story come to fruition, where now we're at a point where he can, he's admitted he's going to start looking for buyers. Like, Baxter Holmes, take the victory lap. You know, you earned that one. You deserve that. Stun on that. Which next, Woj offers his 2 cents on the deal. He says, there were always concerns that Sarver's stubbornness and desire to paint himself as the victim would make him willing to continue as a pariah in the NBA community. But his decision to sell the Suns and Mercury bails out the league and his ownership peers. This is a lot spicier than Woj normally is, but I actually 100% agree completely with basically everything he's saying. Sarver's statement, don't believe Woj tweeted it directly, is kind of nonsense. It's a bunch of self-serving, like, woe is me, like, I can't believe cancel culture came for me. And it's like, no, cancel culture is not, you know, hundreds of former employees coming out and, like, players talking about how much of, like, a dick you were. Like, that's not cancel culture. That's like, hey, you got caught being a dick, and you're gonna have to, like, have some accountability here. So the fact that his statement, like, doubled down on, like, I was hoping the year off would give me time to reflect and everything would smooth over, but no. It's like, dude, there's no way a PR firm, like, he absolutely wrote that himself, because no one in their right mind would craft that statement as, like, a, hey, this is what's happening. It's so stupid. But Woj puts in his 2 cents here. And the last part of this, too, his decision to sell the Suns and Mercury bails him out. That's, you know, that's a really good point, too, because now Adam Silver doesn't have to stand there and get asked questions for a year about, like, hey, what's going to happen when Robert Sarver comes back? Do you think a year was enough? Like, is the infrastructure of the Suns going to change so women aren't being harassed and, like, people aren't just, like, spouting off with slurs and stuff everywhere? But really saves them a lot, and the owners too, because the owners and Silver both were the people who were like, yeah, 1 year suspension and fine, that'll teach him, he'll learn, let's not make him sell the team. And the last thing hanging over all of this is the fact that, like, yes, he's not going to own the Suns anymore, but he's, like, probably going to make billions of dollars off of this sale. Like, it's not like this money is going in a fund to pay the employees he mistreated, and, like, that's what would be a real, like, impact. That would be a real punishment, is like, hey, give up all of the money you're going to make because you don't deserve it. You're getting kicked out of ownership because you abused it. But nope, he's going to probably end up clearing $4 or $5 billion because the Suns are one of the top teams in the league. And that's kind of a shame. It's a bitter pill to swallow at the good news that he is finally selling the teams, I should say, because the Mercury as well. it's good news that he's going to be out of these leagues, because he's not welcome. He doesn't belong. If that's how he's going to be treating staff and players, not welcome. But to get like $4 to $5 billion probably at least as like a parting gift, kind of a bummer to think about too long. So next up, we got Woj tweeting, "The Suns are considered an extremely desirable franchise in the marketplace. We'll have no shortage of high-level ownership candidates as a warm-weather destination in the West. League executives always believed this could be a monster free agent destination with right ownership. Not to mention now they have Devin Booker under long-term contract. They have DeAndre Ayton just signed an extension. And Mikal Bridges, probably a better chance of staying now because Robert Sarver was a notorious tightwad who did not want to pay players. And now there's a lot better of a chance of the Suns keeping this core intact, which was so appealing in the first place. Really, it's just going to become, what are the Suns going to do with that second guard spot when Chris Paul, finally decides to hang it up? He is under contract for another couple years. His play diminished greatly in that Dallas playoff series. That the less said about it, the better. But it's just, it's one of those things where the right ownership in place and a willingness to spend is going to make a world of difference for this team who's already right there. Next up, we have a tweet about the article that Woj has written, summing up basically what Baxter Holmes has said about Sarver selling and his statement and everything like that. Then we get Adam Silver's take on the following statement. He says, "I fully support the decision by Robert Sarver to sell the Phoenix Suns and Mercury. This is the right next step for the organization and the community." The translation there is, "This saves me a gigantic pain in the ass and a PR nightmare. Thanks, Robert, for doing this. Hope the $5 billion in sales is enough to grease your palms here on this one and makes you okay with selling the team," because this was going to be a gigantic PR nightmare for the league. Media Day starts next week, if you can believe it. Teams are going to be starting to report to Media Day, training camps, all of that. And this hanging over the Suns would have been a disaster to start about, because the players were pissed. Like, Chris Paul was one of the first players to actually put out a statement that was like, hey, this punishment that the league put down on Robert Sarver for all of this, which has been proven, is weak. Like, this isn't enough. And, when you have your own players saying that, it's kind of, it's a shame that this is the second owner scandal Chris Paul has been in after his time with the Clippers with Donald Sterling and that whole mess. And, the power the players have in that position is a real thing. And so having the players be put in that position is going to create a nightmare for the league. And so they're avoiding a big headache here with him just deciding to sell and just cut his losses and call it a day. So, of course, he supports the decision. It's the owners in Silver probably were on the phone with Robert Sarver every day the last week trying to convince him to sell. Next up, in the middle of all of this this sales talk and discussion, get an unfortunate retweet of Jamal Collier. Lonzo Ball will undergo an arthroscopic debridement of his left knee next Wednesday. The Bulls just announced he'll be reevaluated in 4 to 6 weeks. That's a huge loss for the Bulls. Lonzo was really hitting a good stride with the core that the Bulls had built, with Vucevic and DeMar DeRozan joining Zach LaVine and Lonzo. Kobe White's been looking much better. Ayo Dosunmu looked like a steal as a rookie last year. And the Bulls were one of the top teams. They just kind of petered out at the end due to injuries. And, Lonzo already being sidelined with a knee that he's already had issues with, and I believe he's already had a procedure performed on. That is, that's devastating for this Bulls team. They're going to have to find a way to kind of, keep the ship steady while they wait. And just on top of that, it's not even a sure thing that he's going to be, in 4 to 6 weeks that Lonzo's going to be ready to just ramp up and come back to basketball. This is the second time his knee hasn't responded to treatment, or there's been lingering soreness. Next up, we have a retweet of Malika Andrews with a statement from the NBA Players Association president, CJ McCollum, who says, "We thank Mr. Sarver for making a swift decision that was in the best interest of our sports community." Kind of a no-brainer that the players were going to want him out. A lot more respectful than I would have been, certainly. but also I think more so respectful than I would have expected, because the things that have come out and the stories are pretty terrible. Then we get a doozy here from Woj. We get ESPN sources. Boston Celtics coach Ime Udoka is facing possible disciplinary action, including a significant suspension for an unspecified violation of organizational guidelines. Discussions are ongoing within the Celtics on a final determination. Then he follows that tweet up an hour later with a description about who Ime Udoka is. Udoka led the Celtics to the Eastern Conference Championship and a berth in the NBA Finals against the Golden State Warriors in his first season as coach. Yeah, we know that. And everyone following Woj should know that already. The thing that this tweet does not say is why he's facing a possible suspension. Violation of organizational guidelines is a pretty vague explanation here. Suspensions are ongoing, discussions are ongoing, this had fans obviously what the hell could have happened? What is going on? What could he have done? Follows up those tweets with Ime Udoka's job isn't believed to be in jeopardy, but a suspension is looming, and a final determination on the length could come as soon as Thursday, sources tell ESPN. Fans waited a whole hour for him to say basically the same thing again, with no new information about what it was, what it could be, and at this point, the memes, the theories, everything is running rampant across NBA Twitter. Hopefully you were there to see it. If not, I'm sure he's probably still trending. You probably still find a lot of them. People were ruthless, as expected. Then, we get a link to the article that Woj has written. ESPN story on Celtics coach Ime Udoka facing disciplinary action expected to include a significant suspension for a violation of organizational guidelines. You click the article. It's been updated since all of the news finished coming out. But before you would click this article, and it was literally just a link to the tweet, and then basically a summary of everything that he had said in those first 3 tweets. Unreal. Woj building the suspense like only he can, keeping the people in the loop and on the edge of their seats. Finally, no final decision has been made on the length of a suspension, but internal discussions have included scenarios that would keep Udoka out for the entirety of the 2022-23 season, sources told ESPN. Obviously, that's major news. The Celtics, like I said, Media Day starts next week for a lot of teams. The Celtics are projected to be a 60-win team this season. They are bringing back everyone from their finals run last season. They are adding in Malcolm Brogdon. And this news comes 24 hours after Woj had tweeted that center Robert Williams was going to be undergoing a knee procedure that would keep him out for 4 to 6 weeks at a minimum. Robert Williams played through a lot of injuries last season into the playoffs. He earned a lot of, I think, credit with fans and players and everyone around the league for, just how much he toughed it out as much as he could. But obviously this is a devastating loss, because the idea here is, use Robert Williams more so you don't have to put early season minutes on Horford. Al Horford, who is, he's coming off a great playoff run, but at his age, you just can't ask him to do that night in and night out for 82 games and then a playoffs. They had originally gotten Danilo Gallinari to kind of be the insurance, but he's already out with a torn left ACL. So bad injury news here, and then 24 hours later, we get this Ime Udoka bombshell that he's probably not even going to be there all season, is the most likely thing. But notice, Woj doesn't say what it was. We were in suspense, people were waiting, and then, like a ship in the night, Shams Charania comes through, like a lighthouse of NBA gossip. He comes through and says, Celtics coach Ime Udoka had an improper, intimate, and consensual relationship with a female member of the team's staff. Sources tell The Athletic and Stadium. It's been deemed a violation of the franchise's code of conduct. Lot to unpack here. The internet was ruthless, as you can imagine, because Ime Udoka has been in a long-term relationship for over 10 years with actress Nia Long. And so immediately the internet detectives came out, started looking up female staff members on the Celtics, trying to figure out who it could have been. Really ruthless stuff, but I don't know why Woj couldn't tweet this, because like someone else said on here, someone had a tweet that was like, I don't know if, like, did Ime Udoka, like, have an affair or kill someone? Like, the vagueness here is really leaving room for a lot of speculation. And the fact that Woj tweeted, like, 6 times about this story without revealing the crux of it is insane. So we come here to Shams. Shams gives us the goods. And now we kind of just have to sit back and wait and see what's going to happen. It's messy. And it's unfortunate that this is all coming out right before Media Day, because it's not like the NBA media is going to, just not ask questions about this to the players. But it also opens up, if he's suspended, what happens to, like, who coaches the team? Is it Brad Stevens coming down from his president of basketball operations, general manager role to coach one more time? Like, is that going to work? It leaves so many questions, and the thing to end it on here, my thought on this is, it's unfortunate that this is probably going to be the bigger story of everything that came out today. Also, I can't believe Woj didn't tweet about it, but Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, it was announced, was going to undergo minor surgery as well, and will be out 4 to 6 weeks for the Thunder. And that's a huge loss for the Thunder, who are already going to be without Chet Holmgren. But now, it puts the thought of another lost season, another tanking season at the forefront. And I think it really starts to open up the possibility that the Thunder are going to look at, trading Shai Gilgeous-Alexander once he's back, and if he's, if he proves that he's healthy and playing at his exceptionally high level. But the thing that bothers me is that this Ime Udoka story is the more memeable, scandalous type of story, or sensational type of story, and it feels like this is going to get a lot more of the publicity and the talk compared to the Robert Sarver stuff. Like, I'm disappointed that this all came out the same day, because, like, the people in Phoenix are celebrating like this was like a holiday. I saw videos of fans at the arena popping bottles of champagne. Like, Richard Jefferson went on the jump and was like, as an Arizona person and as someone who has had friends and, like, people in the organization, like, this is a great day. Like, this dude doesn't belong here. Like, he unloaded. He was not mincing words. This is an important step to helping keep the peace in the league. Like, getting a toxic person like that out is a massive deal, because it also opens the door for, who's going to, be in the owner group to buy the team now. Is it going to be someone like a Jeff Bezos and Amazon? Are they going to swoop in and, like, completely change how we view NBA games and broadcasting and stuff? Like, who knows? Like, the possibilities are endless. But this story breaking at night and taking on the life that it did, with Woj being so vague about what happened, it just feels like this is going to be the thing that we remember the most from today. I just don't want it to overshadow the fact that Robert Sarver leaving the league is a good thing. It is a net positive for this league. So we can get all the jokes and the memes off about Ime Udoka, especially knowing that it was an affair and he did not kill someone or do something like affairs are terrible, but, like, on the scale of things that could have happened, like, Woj had me thinking it was like he was drunk driving and killed some, like, it, your mind just goes to those terrible places when it's like, oh, the team's investigating it and not a word is out about what it was. Like, so come on, Woj, you give us more. There's a little too much teasing here. Thank you, Shams, for coming up clutch for us. If you have any thoughts on anything from today, I know it was a pretty full day of news. Please share your thoughts in the comments. Anything that happened today, or anything really from the last week. And if you liked this type of video, let me know. I'll be happy to do more in the future. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching, and have a good day.